this will be the final question, I believe. I believe it's Mr. Smith
Yes.
is up first for this one. So I've got my order correct. How will you address the issue of gang-related activities and violent crime in Washington Parish? And what specific actions can the sheriff take to assist municipalities with crime?
Well, that's a good question. It's gotta have a better working relationship with the municipalities first. I've attended town council meetings, I've attended parish council meetings. I plan on continuing that as sheriff, figuring out what the responsibilities and the problems that are being addressed in Franklinton and Bogalusa, our two big municipal areas. It also involves working with adjacent and supporting law enforcement agencies. We've got a lot of law enforcement agencies that are working in and around Bogalusa, whether it's the ATF, FBI, DEA, state police. We've also got, a presence in New Orleans with gang activity. Bogalusa is being used as kind of a playing field for some of these gangs to settle their grievances. We've got to involve the community as well. I've sat with a lot of pastors over the last 3 or 4 months. There's nobody that knows what's going on in their communities better than the pastors in our parish. We've got to do a better job of reaching out to them and getting them to feel like they have an ally in law enforcement. Right now, we currently have a lot of law enforcement that's working in isolation from and sometimes in opposition to our community. It doesn't need to continue. The sheriff is probably the crossroads of all things. He's probably the best person to build relationships across all these governmental agencies, because one office is not going to solve anything. We've got to work with a lot of different agencies to get it done. And the sheriff is ideally situated in order to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Crane.
Again, as I touched on a while ago, I will say that the issue with the gang problem and the violence is a cultural problem. Finished business. It's a cultural problem. You cannot, in today's world, everything is done social media. A lot of your problems over here in Franklinton and Bogalusa is social media related. I know it, because I just got through working a RICO case, which is rare on the state side in St. Tammany Parish, and involved the gang in Covington, but bled over into Franklinton. I know how to work the cases. I know what's going on out there in the street. I've been out there. I know what has affected these areas. I do agree at the same time that you cannot do this by yourself. I've been a federal task force officer. I've been also as a supervisor, I've had to deal with the U.S. Marshal Service. I had a guy task force to them. I had 4 guys task force to the Homeland Security. Dealt with them every day. I know how the process works. I know what's required, what's needed for them to come here and do their job. But you have to have municipalities on board. You have to have the community on board, and they cannot be on board when something happens. Everyone has to be on board every day. They have to know what's going on. They have to be a part of the solution, not the problem. Because it can't keep going on. If young people are just going to keep shooting at each other, I can't stop that by myself. I can't do it. And that don't affect just Bogalusa. It has effects in Covington. It had effects in Hammond. I'm sorry, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Martin.
Repeat the question one more time.
Yes, how will you address the issue of gang-related activities and violent crime in Washington Parish? And what specific actions can the sheriff take to assist municipalities with this issue?
Well, we'll start from assisting municipalities. Well, we have to create a cohesive relationship between the mayors and the chiefs of police and law enforcement agencies, or the PDs that's in those municipalities. Not taking and saying, hey, I'm the one answer to all your problems, because that's not gonna create a good feeling for your mayors or your chiefs of police. The other part of the gang violence, well, we gotta rely on our team that we're building with the parish presidents, the mayors, to get jobs to where these kids ain't out on the streets banging, doing whatever they wanna do, selling drugs. Because that's what it's all, the root problem is drugs. And it's all gonna come back to drugs every time. They're doing whatever they gotta do to get money to get drugs. The root problem is drugs. We gotta be hard on the drugs, we gotta get rid of them, we gotta put a damper on them, and that will take care of most of our problems. That's all I have.
Thank you. Finally, Sheriff Seal.
Thank you. Bogalusa does have a big crime problem. I graduated from Bogalusa High School. I love Bogalusa. And there's nobody that cares any more about that city than I do. But I'm here to tell you tonight that help has already arrived in Bogalusa. We've been there, we've been working with the city of Bogalusa for the past 11 years. We have a great working relationship. I knew the previous mayor, I know this mayor. He worked for me when he was in school. I hired him as a student worker. We currently have at least 25 open, active narcotics, firearm, and gang-related cases going on right now. For obvious reasons, I can't discuss those with you publicly. We work closely, weekly, with the Bogalusa Police Department. Bogalusa is no different than St. Tammany with Covington and Slidell and Mansfield. They have their own police departments, but we do go in there. And I'm here to tell you where the Washington Parish Sheriff's Office works regularly every day outside the city limits of Bogalusa and Franklin. Crime rate is down. We work hard. We're proactive, and we're out there working. We do have a major office in Bogalusa. We're there to serve the people of Bogalusa. And the issues affecting Bogalusa and other cities are not just law enforcement issues, but it is a multi-pronged approach to fighting this epidemic. One way you do it is through prevention. You have to educate the people, and you have to work with them and explain to these young kids that get in their school, what I have, 15 seconds? There you go. We're working right now with ADAL, Rusty Farnack, and as he works in the school to do things for the kids there in the school. So we are working, and we're doing a great job, and don't let folks tell you any other way. I'll assure you, we're doing a fantastic job.